Morning, everyone. My name is Jared O'Leary. I've been playing drums since 1998, but most of it has been on rudimental and concert percussion. Only a very small amount of my time has been on drumkit. Now, today I'm going to be practicing. And when I say practicing, I mean actually practicing. This is not me showing off and whatnot. This is me playing stuff I'm not good at yet. Now, in all these practice streams, I've got timestamps in the description to show like what I was working on or what I was talking about. Because I've been drumming for so long, and because I've taught every grade, kindergarten through doctoral student, people often ask me questions in the different chats that I have on the screen. So we've got two different YouTubes, a vertical and horizontal. We've got Instagram, we've got Twitch, and then we're also on some other platforms where the chat is disabled, like TikTok and Facebook. And I will often respond to those questions that I get in those different chats, and I will edit them down, usually, and put them into this playlist. There's over a dozen hours of free drumming tips that can help you out with like relaxing your accent taps, or why tenor drummers use French grip, or talking about like when you make mistakes and not beating yourself up over it. And all the ones that say and other teaching or drumming tips means that there are more topics in there. Just use the timestamps in the description to jump to one of those topics that might be of interest. Now, I'm going to be using some play-alongs today, and I've got literally over 2,000 of them in my home tab of YouTube. So if you go to here, on my home tab of YouTube, because I've got thousands of videos, don't go to the other tabs, just go to the home tab. And we've got drumming, gaming, computer science stuff. Like we're playing Assassin's Creed Shadows here in like an hour and a half or so. But for all the drumming stuff, all you have to do is just click on the header, and then it expands to show you all of this content. And if you keep scrolling, it keeps loading and keeps loading. Now, this is not organized as neatly as I would like it to be. So at the top of every one of the videos, so for example, if we go to like technique exercise, let's say stick control with filler, sure. So at the top of this, in the description, we've got all the timestamps that like let you play slow, all the way up to playing super fast, and every single click in between. But the very first link, jaredoleary.com/drum, it takes you to right here. So this is my website where I've got things organized way neater than what I can do on YouTube. For example, we got the 62 chop exercises right here. We've got over 1,000 grid variations. So there's 419 for triplet grid, there's 577 for 16th note grid, and then there's 36 wacky ones like hurt to grid and other stuff. Today, I'm going to be working on mainly the timing exercises in here. There's over 150 of those, and there's 55 drum charts that are both straight and swung from slow to fast, as well as a video that breaks down how I'm working on them independence. So today, I'm going to be struggling with a pattern that completely changes the ostinato, the ride pattern that I'm going to be playing. So it's going to be 1 and 3 and 1 and 3, and it's a very awkward one for me to do that I haven't spent enough time working up. So the steps that I follow are from this video that I outline in there. There's over 400 marching bass stuff, and then there's a little under 400 technique exercises. So if you're like, I want to work on endurance and speed, check out the endurance and speed playlist. If you want to work on your accent taps, check out the accent tap playlist. So this is organized way neater than what I can do on YouTube, as well as like some tips if you want to see the drumming tips, the live practice streams, like what kind of pedal I'm using, or drumsticks, as well as some scripted lessons like how to hold traditional grip, or the stretch and massage routine that I use, etc., etc. So if you want to find all of the free content organized neater, go here. And if you're like, wow, this is too much, check out this link right here that says start here if you don't know what to practice. That's got timestamps in the description of that stream that's like, hey, you want to work on your flams? Check out these exercises, and it outlines it. Or if you're like, hey, I want to work on my speed, check out that section. So that one can help you out. Now, I'm going to be working on some patterns that are difficult. So I need to get motivated, and the great motivator, Shia LaBeouf, is here to assist me with that. So we're going to have Shia LaBeouf help out with this stream. Headphones were tangled. All right, Shia. Let's hide you because of copyright. Don't worry, you'll hear him. Do it! Just do it! Don't let your dreams be dreams. Yesterday, you said tomorrow, so just do it! Make your dreams come true! Just do it! Some people dream success. Well, you're going to wake up and work hard at it. Nothing is impossible. You should get to the point where anyone else would quit, and you're not going to stop there. No, what are you waiting for? Do it! Just do it! Yes, you can. Just do it. If you're tired of starting over, stop giving up. Oh, yeah, I'm so motivated now. Thank you, Shia LaBeouf. You've really inspired us all. Now, the pattern that I'm working on today is actually from this book. So the book is called 50 Ways to Syncopation by Don Moyle, and you can find a link to it at /gear on my website, or go into the tip section. It's the very first one on books and gear that I recommend. But this book, we're working on the stuff we're not good at. So I've got the spreadsheet that I created for myself because I'm a nerd. And the column A right here takes the average of how I've played this. So for example, when playing pattern number 2, you can see like all the times that I played it, and I keep track of the quality of playing, how I felt while doing it, and what the BPM was. So on average, it is technically proficient. The next one on average is musical. We're skipping all the ones we're good at, and we're focusing on the ones that are meh or needs a lot of work. Now, the one that I'm working on today is this. So you're playing a samba feat. This is a slow samba. And you're like, okay, that's not hard. But now, with the right hand, you're going to play a 1 and 3 and 1 and 3 and. While reading through the patterns on the snare drum. Now, this is hard for me because I'm used to playing 1, 2 and 3, 4 and 1 instead of 1 and da da da. So, like, for example, or even like a Bayonne. I'm used to playing that pattern, but now I'm going 1 and 3 and 1 and 3 and. I don't know how to do that yet. So let's practice it. Now, the way I'm going to practice this is by using the play-alongs that are here. So underneath the limb independent section, we've got a bunch of timing exercises. I'm going to play this with the 8th note timing, and I'm going to scroll down. I'm doing number 5, and I'm going to do this at 140 beats a minute, which is where I left off last time. Okay, so I have a metronome that I'll be using on my drum module here. Oh, by the way, the ones that say members first are all scheduled to release for free. Like this one released an hour ago, the Variation 5. So every video that says members first was like 460 of them. They're all scheduled to release, so there's more than a year's worth of content. So if I were to all of a sudden fall over dead during the stream, which hopefully I don't, knock on drumstick, then you at least get more than a year's worth of content out of me. So enjoy. So you don't have to sign up for membership unless you want to get early access to it. Okay, so I'm going to go to the first page. There we go. Okay, and we're doing this at 140. So even though it says 176, I'm not using the play along yet. Now the metronome. What? Not at that speed. Go. So the metronome is going through my earbuds. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to sit with each one of these measures for at least 4 reps of it before I move on to the next one. Sometimes I might sit with a minute or 2 before I move on to the next one. But the goal is to get it so that I can actually get comfortable with these. And then once I get comfortable with it, then I'll actually play through the play along, which again, with all these play alongs, you can just go into the timestamps and be like, hey, I want to play this at 215 or 226 or whatever BPM you want, and when you click, it will take you to it and then count off, and then you can actually hear it, but we're not using that right now, okay? So this is a pattern we're doing. So we're going to start with the very first measure of the ones. Let's sit with that one more. Whoa. All right, so now I'm going to try the two patterns. Okay, let's try the third measure now. Okay, so now the last line. No. 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. Man, this ostinato on the ride is so different. 1, 2. There we go. All right, so the second measure of the last line. Okay. Let's pause my metronome on here. And now, let me try reading through this page with the actual play along. Turn up the volume. Here we go. Okay, so for the most part, it was fairly comfortable. All right, we've graduated. We are perfect. We never need to work on anything else again. Just kidding. All right, so we're actually getting into the hard part. But first, a word from today's sponsor. Just kidding. No, but first, we're going to stretch and massage, and then I'll get back into that. So I'm giving myself actually a mental break before I work on the 3s, the 4s, the 5s, the 6s, and the 7s, which are difficult. All right, so we're going to take our sticks, pull them in, push it through. Whee! It's a weird-looking stretch. I give a much better demonstration and explanation of how to do it on the video that's under the Drumming Lessons playlist, and it is called This Hand Routine Saved My Drumming, and it talks all about the stretch and massage routine that I'm using right now, and it gives a overhead view of what it looks like from your point of view, as well as a front view, so if you're doing this in front of a mirror, you can see what it looks like Or if you're from teaching, then you can see what it looks like from that perspective. So that's why we've got the two different angles. So you can see your POV or a teaching POV or a mirror POV. Anyways, now I'm going to stretch the underside of the forearm. Ooh, could do it like this. You could do it on the wall. The lower you go, the deeper stretch. You could do 2 fingers in, then 2 fingers. Hold each of the stretches for like 20 to 30 seconds, whatever you need to do. And switch arms. Ooh, that feels great. Even though it takes a couple minutes out of your day, I highly recommend it. I probably wouldn't be drumming today if I had not worked on this hand routine in collaboration with like other percussionists and with a hand specialist, a doctor that specialized in hand health and whatnot, and arm health. We're now going to stretch the top side of the forearm. So I'm going to do 2 at a time to go faster. So the stretch and massage routine was something that I started doing as extensively as I am after like a fairly significant injury where I couldn't drum for like a month. And that was not a good thing during my undergrad, especially because I was on a percussion performance scholarship. So all of my tuition was paid by my ability to hit drums. And I could not do that because of the injuries. So when that happened, I was like, all right, I need to figure out something because this is literally paying my bills. So got some help, and I've been doing this stretch and massage routine since. And now my hands are healthier. Yay! I'm now stretching thumb to thumb. We're just doing 1 finger at a time. Zeke, good morning. How you doing today? Welcome back. Just in time for me to stretch and massage. Ooh-wee. Now, the first page of what we were just playing, that felt way better than it did 2 days ago. So I mentioned this, was it 2 days ago? Or maybe it was 4 days ago. I think it was 4 days ago in that drum kit stream. How our brains develop limb independence. And so I kind of elaborate on that from a neuroscience perspective. Now in a massage. Well, I'm always on YouTube, so you can always check out any of the streams if you can't make it live. All the streams are up there. I'm doing great. Doing great. But one of the things that I didn't mention 4 days ago when I was talking about like how we learn limb independence, is you got to give time for your brain to process stuff, and you process things in your sleep. So the fact that there's been progress since 2 days ago, and I haven't practiced this since 2 days ago because all my practicing is on stream, it shows the development. So that time that I spent, that hour that I was just grinding through it, it has made improvements. Even though I might not have felt it then, my brain processed things, and now I am better as a result of it. So sometimes it takes a couple of nights of sleep, quality sleep, of after practicing for you to notice some improvements, because your brain is literally rewiring itself, which is pretty cool. Or strengthening connections. It's like working out for your brain. Need that recovery time, though, to see those gains. Now I'm massaging the palm, and then I'm massaging the backside with the fingers. And then I got one more quick massage that I'll do for each one of the fingers. Just massaging from the base to the tip of each one of the fingers. At least 2 times. If the finger's feeling tight, spend more time on it. And then ASMR. And then once I finish this, we will work on the 3s of this limb independence pattern. It's a tricky one. Once I get this down, though, it'll open up like so many more things to play with the ride pattern. It'd be cool to like play the bayonne with this, or play even the bossa nova, or just other things with this ride pattern. Bossa nova is basically like the same thing that I'm doing. It's just even slower. So, like a slow samba. Okay, so we're going to do this. So the pattern, again, with the feet, slow samba. Okay, nothing fancy. The ride cymbal, this is the hard part that we're trying to learn, is 1 and 3 and 1 and 3 and. While reading through the parts on the snare. Eventually we'll be able to like so you can move where you hit on the bell with the side or the shaft of the stick. But anyways, we're not ready for that. We can't play musical yet. First we're trying to get the mechanics down. Okay, so I'm gonna sit with the 3s, at least 4 reps of each one of the measures, until I feel like it sounds okay and feels okay. Sometimes I'll sit with it for a long time. Groovy, right? Alright, let's try the next one. Okay, the last measure of the first line. Okay, that one's fairly straightforward because it's just lining up the right hand. Alright, so the first measure of the second line. No. I'm totally screwing that pattern up. Brain, work. 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. So again, we're on the second measure of the second line. No. Huh. Yeah, so I keep wanting to put on the next measure, measure 3. Stop it. Okay, now let's try measure 3 of the second line. Okay, so now we're gonna try the 4s while keeping the ostinato in the right as a 1 and 3 and And 1 and 3 and here we go. So I was sitting with that one longer because it didn't feel like it was lining up with the right hand as much as I would like it to. It didn't feel comfortable. So again, we're just looping this until it feels comfortable, at least 4 times, and then going on to the next measure. Speaking of, we're going to go to line 3, measure 3. No. 1, 2. Nope. Okay, so measure 2 of the 4th line. Bump, 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 bump. Okay. 1, 2, here we go. So this is the last measure of the 4s. All right. Now let's try the 5. 5s. 1, 2, here we go. Let's try that again. You did not hear that. I felt like I screwed up the ostinato in the ride pattern. Alright, let's try this again. So this is the 3rd measure of the 5s. So 2nd to the last line. Okay. Okay. That is feeling way better than it was 2 days ago, but obviously still a lot to work on with it. Let's go to the next page. So the next page has sixes, sevens, and eights, which is just straight eighth notes on the snare drum. So that one's an easy one. But the sixes, ooh, wee, giving me some difficulty a couple days ago. Okay. Actually, let's give ourselves just a quick mental break. Get some +7 energy. This says on my mug. Lukewarm coffee. Okay. Now, when I was working through that on the previous page, you'll notice that there are some moments where I just play the ostinato. And I was mentally singing through it and just thinking of the rhythm. And then I sometimes like vocalize it so you'd actually hear what was going on in my brain. But that is one way that you can practice it. Is once you can get that down, okay, now try and transfer that timing from your voice, your thought, into your limb that you're working on. In this case, my left hand. So, that's what I was working on. Whee! Okay. Metronome on. Wish me luck. This is not something I'm good at yet, but we're making huge progress from 4 days ago and even 2 days ago when we last were streaming this, working on it. Starting to feel more comfortable. I'm gonna try that second measure again. It didn't feel right. It felt wonky. Yeah, I feel like my ride pattern was playing a 1 and a 2 and a 3 and a 4 and a, instead of this pattern that I'm supposed to be working on. Okay. Third measure. Ah! There we go. That's the note that I was missing. Okay, so I'm on measure 2 of the second line now. Alright, that felt way better than 2 days ago. Let's try the 7s now. Flawless. It's screwing up my ostinato hand again. Alright, let's try the 7s again from the first measure. No! Keep screwing up my ostinato, the ride part. That second measure of the second to last line feels a little weird, so I'm sitting with that one a little bit longer. Let's try it again. Alright, third measure, second to last line. Alright, last measure of that second to last line. And that's the 8s. Cool! We did it! Yay! Okay, so now we gotta do it in context. So we're gonna go... Actually, I'll just go into the timestamps. So in the timestamps, you can select whatever BPM you want. This play along, because it's so long, a few hours long, starts at 140 and it goes up to 240. Counts off. 2, ready? And... Wish me luck. All right, so some timing issues on my left hand and some reading issues and whatnot, but I was able to get back on and get back into the ostinato. Oh my, that was difficult. Okay, so huge improvements since the other day. We need to reinforce it though. So let's play through it some more. Let's do that 140 again. Here we go. Come on, brain, you can do it. Do it! Yes, you can! 1, 2, here we go. Okay. It's a little hard for me to hear my right hand, but it felt like on that last page, my right hand was not doing what it needed to do. So what I want to do now is I'm going to take a mental break from this. So I'm going to step away from this particular pattern, and I'm going to read through chart. So I'm going to read through Swung, so completely different feel, completely different everything. And I'm going to do short, long. So the way I'm going to do this is ding, 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 ding. We're just going to go with the classic way that a lot of people will play through, like Ted Reed's book, Syncopation. And you're going to play short notes on the snare drum, long notes on the bass drum. Etc. Okay? That's the plan. So we're going to go here. And instead of doing the straight charts like we were just doing, we're going to do the swung charts. And I'm going to do this at, I don't know, 200? That might be too fast. Let's find out. We can always slow it down. And the timestamps in the description, you can jump to a BPM you want. In this case, I'm going to try 200. I might regret this. One, two, ready, and. Woo-wee! Short on snare, long on bass drum. 2, 1, 2, ready, and. Fun, right? That's brisk, baby. Alright, chart number 2. 1, 2, 1, 2. Here you go. Cool. Chart number 3. Short on snare, long on bass. 1, 2, 1, 2, ready, and. Sweet. Chart number 4. 1, 2, 1, 2, ready, and. I love those patterns that bleed over the measure like that. It's so much fun. Hence, you know, why I wrote it. 1, 2, 1, 2, ready, and. Sweet. That's a fun one, right? Okay, so that's what we want to be able to get to with what we were just playing and what we're about to go back into. But in order for me to get to that speed, raw sight reading, short on snare and long on bass drum, I needed to just sit there and work with the ostinato and get this down. And then, okay, now I'm going to go through and do all of the permutations that I was just working on with just a snare drum, and then do all the permutations with just a bass drum so it doesn't screw up my foot, and then try them together. Like, it's a long process. But if you notice, like from 2 days ago and 4 days ago, when I just started learning this pattern, it's significant improvement. Does it sound great yet? No, not yet. But it will eventually sound like what I just played, more confident, much more fluid, etc., because of the grind that I'm putting into it now. It just takes time. I promise. All right, so now we're going back to the pattern that we were just doing, this one. So bossa nova, or samba, technically a slow samba. 1 in and 3 in, and 1 in and 3 in. With that ostinato ride pattern, while trying to read through all the pattern on the snare drum, okay? That's the goal. So 140. 1, 2, here we go. Yeah, so my ostinato and feet got a little bit off, and then I was like, where am I? Huge improvement, even though we messed it up at the end. 4 days ago, couldn't even play it. All right, so this is going to make it so that I like have more versatility with it. So if like playing like a samba, like we were doing, like being able to play straight eighth notes, or a 1 and a 2 and a 3 and a 4 and a 1, and then be able to switch to a completely different feel. Etc. It just makes it so that you have many more different possibilities with your playing. Good morning, RDX. So, the thing that I was practicing, not the actual exercise, but the approach that I was using for practicing, I outline in here how to develop limb independence on drumkit. And if you listen back to 4 streams ago, I literally could not play like even the just sitting there with it on 1. So I promise it works. if you go back and listen to 4 days ago when I first started learning this, it was not good. This works. Check out the approach in there. There's a few different steps for how to develop limb independence. It takes time, but it works. After 2 hours and maybe 15 minutes of practice, I can now play the pattern much more comfortably. What I will do next is read through some more of the permutation patterns and then be able to start reading through the charts. And then I have developed limb independence with a brand new ostinato pattern on the ride pattern. So highly recommend it. Now, if you are on YouTube and you want to stay on YouTube, you can find all of these play-alongs. If you go to the Home tab here, I do remember you. But if you go into the Home tab here, because I've got literally thousands of play-alongs and drumming tips and whatnot, you can't go to the video tab because you just won't find anything. So if you go here and you click on the header for drumming content, it expands and it shows you all of these different playlists for the drumming content. Now, if you want to find everything organized neater, then what I can do on here, go to the first link at the top of every one of the video descriptions where you've got the timestamps, like to be able to jump to a BPM. But if you click on the first link to jaredoleary.com/drum, we've got the different sections in here, as well as a video that shows you like how to work up different stuff. So check out the timestamps in there if you're interested in like how to work on my flams or how to work on this, blah, 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 blah. So the chop exercises, there's 62 of those. There's over 1,000 grid variations for triplet, swung, and some wacky ones like hurt to grid. We've also got all these 150 plus timing exercises, 55 drum charts, both straight and swung. We've got over 400 marching bass stuff. We've got 363 technique exercises. So if you want to work on accent taps, check out that one. If you want to work on your 3s and 4 strokes, check out that one. If you want to work on endurance and speed, check out that one. Lots of different playlists in here with a lot of cool exercises. All of the prior live streams. So if you want to see like what did I actually sound like when I first started playing this, if you go back to this one, it's when I first started learning this, pattern number 33, and it sounds terrible. So progress is being made. Yay! But we've also got over a dozen hours of free drumming tips. All the books and gear that I recommend. For example, pattern number 33 is from Dom Moyo's book, 50 Ways to Syncopation. And there's a bunch of other books in here I recommend. Here's the pedals I'm using, the sticks, Jack DeJohnette's, etc., etc. And then finally, we've also got some scripted lessons. Like if you want to learn how to hold traditional grip, check that out. Or the hand routine that I was using for the stretch and massage, check that out. But I'm going to call it here, and I am going to play some Assassin's Creed Shadows here in probably about 20 or so minutes. Depends on how long it takes me to completely rearrange the room. But if you go to /game, you can find all of the highlight reels for all the different games I played here, as well as all of the prior live streams here. So lots of different games that we played, and we're going to be doing Assassin's Creed Shadows until I beat that, and then we're going to play something else. But I do appreciate everybody stopping by on here. I hope these streams are helpful to show what it actually takes to practice and what practicing can look like. There's many different approaches that can be used. But if you have questions in future streams, feel free to stop by. If you can't stop by on a stream, you can always just ask questions in my comments section on YouTube, and I will often either reply to that comment with an answer, or I will say, hey, I will answer that question in tomorrow's stream, or include like a link to a video like, hey, here's where I answer this particular question. Check out drumming tips number 84 or something like that. But anyways, I'm going to call it here. I hope you have a good rest of your day. And RDX, I will see you here in probably about 20 or so minutes. But hope you have a good day and goodbye.